everybody. This is Kevin Davidson, your host for Kevin's Corner, Real Estate from a Marketing Perspective, and this is episode number 35. I'm up to 35 episodes, and this is the first episode of 2024, so I'm very excited. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and watching and liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel. I always tell everybody that I couldn't do this podcast if it wasn't for my support system, which is Jennifer Smitis, the Area Vice President, Caitlin Kornick, Devaney Devon, the escrow officers here in the Sugar Land office, and Wendy Santana and Adriana Alzate in the Richmond office. And at the same time, if you're seeing this podcast and you're a real estate agent or a vendor that operates in the Fort Wayne County area and you want to be a guest on the podcast, give me a call, 832-654-0527, or email me at kevin.davidson@stewart.com. Now, to say that this is not a special episode for me would be completely lying. So if you guys don't know who this is sitting next to me, this gentleman is the reason why I'm in real estate. He hired me in 2014, me not knowing what I was getting into and him not knowing what he was getting. But here we are, 9 years
9
later.
years.
9 years
No,
later.
almost 10. Almost 10.
You're right, because it was July
Yep.
of that year. So this is Steve Rozenberg. He is, for me, my friend. He's also a mentor, a coach. He's taught me a lot. He is, in my opinion, largely, if not partially, responsible for the reason I am where I'm at today in my professional career, because a lot of the things that I do, a lot of the reasons why people know who I am, and a lot of the things that I do for the real estate community is because him and I created them.
Yeah.
So introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah. First of all, it's good to see you, man. And I appreciate everything you said. And yeah, it's been a great friendship. It's been a great journey. My name is Steve Rozenberg. I've got a kind of like an onion. I have a lot of layers to me.
Yes.
My original background is being a commercial airline pilot. So I fly for a local airline here, United Airlines. I fly a Boeing 777 airplane. The reason I even got into real estate was because I got a furlough notice after 9/11. So for those of you that are old enough to remember 9/11, tragic day in our history. For me, it was 2 days after was the day that I received my furlough notice, which made me realize that the safe, secure job that I thought I had was not very safe and secure, which got me into real estate. And I started buying real estate. And as a subsection of that, we started a property management company. A gentleman, Pete Newbig, and myself, we started this company. We knew nothing about property management, nothing about being business owners, but we did it anyways. And as we grew and scaled our company, we had a business coach. And we realized that as we were growing our company, the most vital piece of any business, as we were taught, was marketing. And so Kevin was one of the first people that we hired. It was one of those things we couldn't afford him, but we couldn't afford not to have him. So we hired Kevin.
And by the way, they didn't pay me a lot.
Didn't pay him a lot. Nope, absolutely. I agree. But we paid you in friendship.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
the experience that I got was invaluable. So.
Yeah, it was. Well, the way I look at it is we were building it together. Mm-hmm. And so there was a lot of unknowns. I mean, I remember countless days of going into realtor offices, trying to create this agent alliance program that you and I formed, tried to figure out. And, we took this, we built it, we scaled it. The management company ended up getting to almost 1,000 properties. And then we got acquired by a venture capital firm. And so we parted ways with the company. They took the company that we had. And then we kind of went off and did our own thing. Pete went off to do his thing. I went off to I didn't know what I wanted to do when we sold. And I had so much knowledge in real estate, knowledge in building the business and all that stuff that I just had a lot of people approaching me saying, could you help me? Could you help me build my business? Whether they're a realtor, whether they're a real estate investor, property management company, or any company, the knowledge that we had by being coached, as you were coached also from the gentleman, we realized that the one thing that we needed to do was build a team around us. And so that's what nowadays I help people, I coach them, I work with them. from all walks of life, because every business out there, it doesn't matter what you do, they all run under the same chassis. And so I've taken my knowledge, I've kind of perfected this, and I don't even know if you know this, but the model that I've perfected is taking my 25 years as an airline pilot, systems, knowledge, procedures, checklists.
Yeah, but that's the concept we took at Empire Industries.
Exactly.
The book.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's kind of what I've done now, where I work with realtors, I work with investors, I work with property management companies, all these people that I show them, if you run it with systems, policies, procedures, structure, it can run on its own or very close to it if you have the right people and the right team in place. Right. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm working, I get the opportunity, I'm very blessed to be able to speak all over the country, different parts of the world, talking about this subject, because I think it's, a lot of people have great ideas about how to be an operator and how to actually start a business, but they don't know how to turn it into a business, meaning that it's running without them. And so a lot of them have jobs, they don't have businesses.
So you're not, for a while there, you were an investors coach, weren't you?
I was. I started working with an organization called Bigger Pockets, and I had my own podcast show on Bigger Pockets, and I was working with investors, and that was great. But I realized that I could actually help more people if I could work with business owners, and the reason is I think that there's a mental shift when I work with a real estate investor. They feel that that's a reflection on themselves. And I don't agree with that, because they should look at themselves as business owners. And the subsection of that is real estate. And the subsection of that business is investing. They just say, I am a real estate investor, but the real estate investing is really just a strategy to achieve a goal. And so I think that the challenge is that's like saying I'm a freeway. No, the freeway gets you somewhere. Mm-hmm. Real estate investing, stocks, businesses, being a realtor, property manager, these are all just strategies. At the end of the day, we're all entrepreneurs using a different mechanism or tool to achieve that goal. Many people don't know what that goal is. So they get busy being busy, and they stay into this realm of, I'm an investor, but they actually don't really know what they're doing. Same with realtors. They don't have an end goal. They don't have an end game. They don't know what they're doing it for. So they're just busy being busy. And nobody really wants to be busy being busy, because eventually that's like motivation. It drains over time. Yeah. And then that's when dark days, look, we all know the economy's changing, especially in the real estate market. This is when people start doubting whether or not they should stay in this realm, because they don't have that eye on the prize. They don't have that goal. Right. And that's kind of what I'm seeing. So I'm seeing a lot of people coming to me saying, hey, I kind of need some help on some focus, because, I always tell people, to be a good business owner, a good real estate investor, a good realtor, I don't need to teach you the skill set. I may need to teach you how to think the way a successful realtor thinks, or a successful business owner, because they think differently. They don't do anything differently, but what they think and how they act is based upon their actions of the day and the team that they surround themselves with. So that's just my perspective of how to get people out of the realm from a job to a business owner.
Mm-hmm. And what is it about what you do now that made you decide to do this?
I think a lot of people out there come up with great ideas and great concepts. Unfortunately, I've learned that, and I don't put myself in any special category, but people that have taken a business and sold it at some level, I don't think that is the majority. I think many people start a business with a great idea, a great concept, but they never make it there. And all they've done is just had a job that didn't pay them well. It caused them a lot of stress, a lot of headache. And I'm like, one of the things that I think is important is, and I've learned this from a personal tragedy, as losing my son in the last year, is that I think we need to create more memories. And a lot of people, if you talk to an entrepreneur, anyone who's starting a business, a realtor or anyone, they're normally running away from a job or a life they don't want. So they don't want to be told what to do. They don't want to have a 9-to-5. They don't want to be dictated to. But when I ask them, well, are you getting what you wanted? The majority of them are like, no. I'm like, well, because you're focused on what you're running away from, but I'm like, what are you running to? So when I talk to many entrepreneurs, realtors, investors, I'll ask them like, why did you do this? And they'll say time. I want more time and I want more freedom. And my question is, well, do you have that? And the answer astoundingly is no.
Of course not.
No. And I'm like, so you're doing something like if you had a 9 to 5, you wouldn't have that. Now you have this. You're probably making less money in the end of with the amount of time, frustration, and headache that you are putting in this because you're your own business, but you don't even have the time freedom because, look, I don't know about you, but I don't know anyone that gets 25 hours in a day. They get 24.
Right.
And some people say like, I want more freedom. Well, you could sell all your stuff tomorrow and go live down in Galveston and have all the freedom you want in your car. But what you won't like is you won't like the memories that creates. So I tell people, take it a step further. We're doing this for the ability to give us time. And now we have the freedom to go create memories. Listen, when we all meet our maker, whoever that may be, the only thing we're taking with us is memories. But many people don't like the memories they're creating because they think it's a destination. It's the journey. And so we get so caught up in the one day this, one day that. And again, when I lost my son, I'm so fortunate that I was able to create those memories with him, traveling, doing things with him. And I wasn't the person that said, man, I wish I did. I can say, you know what? He was around for 19 years and I gave him and myself the best memories we could create. So I'm glad I was able to. And I think a lot of people get caught up in the, I wish I did. And I hope that never happens to anyone. But if it does, what side of the fence do you want to be on? And that's, I think, something that a lot of people forget.
So it's basically a choice, but people are so accustomed to making the one choice that everybody always makes instead of making the choice that's what's best for them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the same thing because when you and I worked together, I used to work with real estate agents and help them with their marketing for their business.
Yep.
And I still do that. Matter of fact, that's kind of what I'm known for now. And the first thing that agents always ask me is, should I do this? Should I do that? What do you think about this? And my answer is never an answer that I give them or whether or not I think they should do it or I like it or I don't like it. Is what are your goals for that?
Exactly.
What do you want to accomplish?
Right.
Is $500 enough on this campaign, Kevin? I don't know. What are your goals for that? And if you don't have goals, then that's where you got to start. If you do have goals, then is that $500 you're spending meeting those goals? Just like we used to do at Empire.
Yeah.
And when I explain it to them and they look at me like, like a dog turns his head sideways.
Yeah.
They're like, no one's ever explained it that way.
Yeah.
But it's the one thing. The whole time that you and I worked together in Empire Industries, the one thing that I learned after I left, a light bulb went off, and especially when I got here in title, the one thing that real estate brokerages, out of everything that they teach you and everything they do for you, the one thing they don't do is they don't teach agents how to grow their business.
Right.
They don't teach them how to market it.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you think that's a challenge from a title company perspective? Like, I mean, in theory, if you were, I'm asking, like, if I was a company, I would want to have all the people that are feeding me business, I would want to help them grow because ultimately that makes my business bigger. Now, I'm sure there's a reason they don't or whatever the case may be, but I would think that's why you're probably so a breath of fresh air by helping them because if an agent goes from 2 deals a year to 12 deals a year, that's 10 deals that your company, title company, now got as a result of their success.
Right. And it's, I've asked brokers the question you just asked me, why is that, what's missing? And I get the same answer all the time. And the answer is usually because there's real estate agents are independent contractors. They're entrepreneurs. They're on their own. So it's not something that the broker feels that they need to provide as part of the service that they offer for being part of their brokerage.
Right. And listen, this is, again, that's we could look at this multiple ways. I think
I'm
that's
not saying I agree with
I'm with you. And I look at this as saying, well, that's kind of it's probably the cost-effective legal answer that we provide the minimum that we need to provide, right? Exactly. But I would look at it. I'll use this as an example. Like, so being an airline pilot, if you and I were flying from here to Honolulu, Hawaii, and I said, hey, Kevin, we're going to go to Hawaii, and we get up in the air, and I'm like, I've never actually been to Hawaii, by the way. I'm not even sure which way to get there. I've never seen the island. I don't know what the weather is. I don't even know if I have enough fuel to get there. But I've got a good gut feeling because I feel like this will work. What are the odds that we're going to make it to this tiny little island in Hawaii? Probably slim to none, right? Yeah. And you probably would not get on the plane or shouldn't get on the plane with me. Now, when I fly the plane, before we ever get into the cockpit, we know the destination. We know what runway we're going to land on. We know the routing. We know the weather. We know the fuel. We know every contingency. If we have an emergency, we know where we're going to divert to. Before we ever do anything, push a button, we know exactly everything about the plan. And then we reverse engineer Hawaii all the way back to Houston, Texas, and everything in between. And I ask people, what if you got on a plane without a flight plan, meaning they didn't know any of this information, and I ask people, what would you call that? And they're like, oh, a disaster, a crash, crazy. Yeah. And then my question is what would you call a business without a business plan?
Same thing, exactly. Yep.
Most people, they don't know where they're going. They don't know how much fuel they need. They don't know their destination. They have no idea what their goal is. And they go, Kevin, how much should I spend on marketing? Are you going to Hawaii? Or are you going to Los Angeles? Or are you going to McAllen? And that's the thing is like, I can't answer that for someone. That's something that you need to decide of what do you want? What's the goal?
Agents come to me all the time and go, I don't know which direction to go. I'm a real estate agent now. I can't get any help from my brokerage. I'm paying a mentor, but I'm not getting any deals, and no one's helped me. I don't know what to do next. Mm-hmm. And I tell them, well, you need to generate leads. You need to generate business. But how do I do that? That's the piece of the puzzle that brokers completely leave out of their plan.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, so I meet with, I cleared my calendar today for you, but I meet with 2 to 3 agents every single day. Mm-hmm. Every day, one-on-one.
And is it the same challenge they have?
It's
in general?
The same challenge for them, yes, but it's a different outlook on what they want to accomplish with their business going from agent to agent. But they come with the same problem. I need help with my marketing. I need help generating business. I don't know how to do this. I don't know what to do. I mean, I even have seasoned agents and brokers, agents that have their own brokerage. They've been agents for 20 years.
Wow.
And they come to me and go,
well, and I think part of that is, listen, the economy as it is today compared to when you and I first started working together is different. So what worked back then, there are some evergreen principles mm-hmm. with alignment and adding value, but the tactic, I've learned something interesting. This actually from the guy who does a lot of my marketing. He says, there's a difference between tactics and principles. Tactics change over time. Principles never change. Right. So, principle is like a law, like the law of gravity. Like I could read as many books as I want on gravity and learning humans to fly. I can learn how to move my hand. I can learn to figure out how to breathe correctly. I can learn that when I take that first leap off the building, I can really imagine myself flying. No matter what I do, no matter how many books I read, no matter how fast I run, what's going to happen when I leap off that building?
The exact same thing.
The law of gravity. That is a principle. Right. And so there's principles and there's tactics. And I think a lot of people focus on the tactic and they don't focus on the principle, like creating a relationship. Exactly. And so I think that's a challenge that many, and I don't think it's just realty. I think it's a a lot of people in sales. It's in everything, yeah. And you and I, know people in other businesses. And, I think, and I've always thought this and I still do. I think marketing is the most important piece of any business, because if you are not focusing on, we'll call it, you and I will date ourselves and say the phone ringing, maybe it's clicking and opt-ins and yeah.
I still say it.
Yeah. And if you're not focusing on the phone ringing and it's not ringing, you're going out of business. You just don't realize it till the bank count is zero. And so you and I know many people, my old business partner, love him to death, but he's an operator. Mm-hmm. He loves operation and that's great. And it's necessary, but it's kind of the thing. If you had the best burger, and you put your burger stand next to McDonald's, who's going to win?
Right.
Not because they make a better burger, they just have a better marketing machine. And so
they've already created it.
Yeah. And you know, one of the things someone had told me one time, they said, you don't have to be the best. You just have to be the best known. Mm-hmm. And it beats it. Best known beats the best every time.
I drill into agents' heads. There's 120, 130,000 people out there in the Houston and surrounding area that have a license. 40,000 of them are active. How do you differentiate yourself between the 40,000 agents that are active? Get your face out there.
Yep.
Get on social media, get on video, get on the website, get on podcast, just get out there. Because I'm not the most attractive guy in the world, but everybody knows who I am because,
right.
I mean, even still to this day, I have agents come to my CE classes and walk up to me or my happy hour or events. And, hey, I'm Steve. I see you all over the place.
Yeah.
And I'm like, then I'm doing my job.
It's branding. Branding. It's
exactly.
branding. And you know, again, and you know, we can go down the marketing conversation because you and I both love it. Yeah. And I get a lot of people that, and I'll ask them like, why aren't you doing social media or these things? I don't want to look dumb. And it's funny. I always tell them, you know, with all due respect, you're not as important as you think you are. And that's the reality, right? No one knows who you are. You have 3 followers on social media. Do you think those 3 people are going to say anything? They're not even going to see you. And that's the thing. And I guarantee you, you know, as you and I both know, your first video, your first podcast, your first whatever is probably going to be sucky compared to your 500.
Of course.
Because it's repetition. It's muscle memory. Yeah. So you have to be okay by learning, and learning is failing. So you have to be okay with the fact that your first video is not going to be very good, and that's okay. Because nobody cares.
Nobody does.
Nobody cares.
I totally just because I hear that all the time. You know, I don't want to look stupid. I don't know what I don't know what.
To who? Like I know, but it's like, but no one even knows you.
I don't want anybody else to see me. I don't know what everybody else thinks. And I tell agents all the time, 3 things. It doesn't matter what everybody else thinks.
Yep.
Okay. You be you. That's what'll get you noticed. And number 3, none of the other agents out there even. They're not responsible for paying your bills. Put food on your table.
Exactly.
So if they criticize you, it's not because it's bad. It's because they're jealous.
Exactly, because you're onto something.
Because you're doing what they can't or won't do.
Exactly, 100%.
And when I say that to agents, a light bulb goes off, and then the next day I get my phone's going off, ding, 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 and it's 15 videos the guy I talked to yesterday did overnight wanted me to look at them.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you know, we have to get out of our own head. And we have to focus more on the why, on the goal. And that's the thing is when you don't know the goal, then you're just blended, you know, and you don't really know where you're going. You're driving around your subdivision all day and you go, man, I drove all day long. I didn't go anywhere, but I drove all day long. It's like, yeah, but you never left the subdivision because you didn't know where you were going because you didn't have the goal. And so that's the thing.
When I came here to Stewart Title, and you'll really appreciate this, the first thing within the first couple of days, I asked Jennifer Smitas, is my boss, Jennifer Smitas. I asked her, I said, so what are my goals? What numbers do you need me to hit? What have you guys done in the past? And she looked at me like I was speaking Japanese. And I said, no, you don't understand. If I don't know what these are, I can't help us here.
You're not going to hit it. You're not going to hit them.
I'm not going to do, I don't know what to do.
Right.
And she goes, what are you talking about? I said, I don't necessarily want to be on KPIs.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that, you know, I want to know how many contracts on average you guys got in, who they came from, how many of them were regulars, how many were new. I want to know the numbers.
Yeah.
You know, what is it you want me to accomplish here?
Yeah.
And she said, well, you know, we haven't had that great of marketing representation the last couple of years. So if you can just get agents to come back to the building, to the office, they'll start using us again. I said, well, how long do you think that'll take? And she goes, probably about 6 months or so before you actually can see what you're doing is helping or whatever. 2 weeks later, I had a party in the office. There was 50 agents in the room. She walks in. She goes, how did you do this? I said, you didn't remember who you hired, did you? I said, this is why I wanted to know what you want me to accomplish.
Right.
And so, so she got me in contact with the head numbers guy at corporate. He couldn't even answer my numbers questions.
Wow.
So now, guess what they're doing? They're
creating metrics.
This whole metrics about everything that I'm asking for.
Good.
So but it's the same. It's exactly what I tell agents. It's you have to have a goal in mind, and you can't worry about what everybody else is doing.
Right.
You know, I'm talking to an agent like, well, I see this agent on YouTube, and I see this agent here, and they're everywhere, and they've got 15 listings a month, and I'm saying, well, how do you think they got there? By doing what you're asking me to help you learn how to do.
Right.
They just didn't come to me first. They went to somebody else.
Right.
But if you're seeing them everywhere, they're doing what you need to do.
Yeah. And, you know, I think the thing about social media that people don't understand is, you know, if we, again, going back to dating ourselves, you know, the thing about social media is there's a low barrier to entry. So it's free. Mm-hmm. So everyone's doing it. But part of that is you have to differentiate yourself, exactly. Which means you have to be willing, like, unless you want to spend $10,000 a minute on a commercial, mm-hmm. You get it free. Okay, that's great. But there's a cost to that. That cost is probably opening up and being a little more personal than you may want to be, because that's what people want to know. They don't want to know what your transaction is. They want to know, what did you do after the transaction?
Exactly.
Because they want to know you. They want to know you. They want to like you. They want to trust you. The only way they're going to do that is by seeing who you are, authentic. One of the mistakes I see people make, and this is my opinion, it's been backed up, but it's just my opinion, is when people make a separate business page from a personal page on social media. And the only reason I say that is people want to know the whole authentic story. And they are not going to, and if you look at anyone who's successful out there, they are who they are. You know, people like, you know, Brad Lee and Grant Cardone, all these people, they just have one page because they just are who they are. Mm-hmm. And you either like them, love, like if you are living a life that doesn't represent your values, you may have a moral or ethical problem that maybe you should need to revisit, but you should just be authentic. And the more authentic you are, you're going to get the people that want to do business with you. And then you're going to get the people who don't want to do business with you. So again, I don't know your take on that.
So for every agent that's watching this podcast that just heard him say that, where did you hear that before? From
Is that yours?
I got it from him. Okay?
Yeah.
What you just said, I repeat almost daily.
Because it works.
You.
Just
Don't
be you.
Don't worry about who is looking at it. And you're never going to be able to help 100% of the people in this city that need real estate. If you be you, you're going to carve out your little niche of people that you should be working with.
You know, I went to a guy who helped me with the branding of Steve Rozenberg. Mm-hmm. And so he asked my team, he said, if you could use 3 words to describe Steve, what would they be? And they all came back almost all identical. Authentic, committed, and sincere. Mm-hmm. That's it. I don't fluff it. You know me. Mm-hmm. I don't over micromanage. I don't, you know, I am authentic. I am who I am. Mm-hmm. I am sincere. And I'm committed. I will do whatever it takes to help the team get whatever it is across the goal line. So to the agents here, I would say, what are the 3 things that describe you? Like what is the thing that you would say that people would say when you're not around, who are you? Because that's who, if that's not who you want to be, that's a bigger challenge. Yep. And if it is who you want to be, then you need to embrace that and capitalize on it, because that's what you're known for. And so I think a lot of times people think that when you turn that camera on, you have to be this other person. You don't. Just be who you are, because it's so much easier to be authentic when you're just being you than trying to be this other person that you think people want you to be, but it's not really you. And then when you go home, you're different. It's very confusing.
It's like when you have that friend or you have that colleague that every time you see him, I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but you can just, when they leave, you just have that feeling that person is really fake. That's not really who they are.
Right, exactly.
And
everyone has those people that they know.
They know those people. And so to make a stronger point, I tell agents all the time, I say, if I was a real estate agent, because everybody knows me, everybody knows I love heavy metal, everybody knows I try and play guitar. If I was an agent, I would incorporate that into my marketing.
Absolutely. 100%.
Not because I want people to play guitar or like heavy metal, it's because I want them to go, that's Kevin, the rock and roll real estate agent.
Just authentic. Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah,
so
I agree.
I get agents they're sending me videos. They're doing it from their kitchen because they like to cook, or they're doing it whether exercising. They're doing it, you know, and when they do this, not only are possible future clients going to see this, but possible future clients that also like heavy metal and play guitar, that'll be your connection. That's your
Absolutely. Absolutely. People want to be around. It's proximity.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm trying to learn how to run a marathon, which I never would want to do, but if I did, I would hang around other marathon runners. If I wanted to learn martial arts, I would go hang out with martial arts. If I want to learn music, I would hang around music people. So it's very, you know, we want to be around the proximity of people who we want to be and people who we want to be like. And so it's that whole thing, birds of a feather flock together. Same thing. And so that's what people have to realize is you don't want to be this oddball person when that's not really you, because you're like, man, all these runners around me, they're all running all the time. I hate that. It's like, yeah, but that's what you told people.
Well, the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that when you are trying to be somebody that you're really not, people will notice that.
Absolutely.
And those people are the ones that you should be working with, but you've turned them off.
Exactly, because they know.
Because they know, and you don't want to do that. So
we can go on and on.
Everything that I've been, for the last 2 years here at Stewart Title that I've been teaching agents, just came out of his mouth. Okay?
Yeah,
so it's not just me saying it. We figured this out. You know, it's funny because I still remember like the first day or two when you guys hired me. Both you and Pete walked into what was my office, which was a desk in front of a wall in the kitchen.
In the kitchen, yeah.
And you basically said, here's your budget, here's our target market, now go get us leads. And I'm looking at both of you guys going, not going to help me at all. There's no direction.
Anything.
And you didn't realize at the time that this was your personality. You're the marketing guy. That's why we hired you. So
do your job.
So I just took the marketing concepts. Yeah, do your job. So I took the marketing concepts that I learned in college. I applied them. We realized that real estate agents didn't like property management companies because they stole their clients.
Yep.
So we changed that perception. We created the CE classes to educate and to get in front of agents. And before you know it, we were the fastest growing property management company in the country.
Yeah, and I mean we were the #1 agent referral program because we understood the problem, we solved that problem, and then we marketed that. And so all of a sudden now we're in a world where people are like, wow, that's the only hang up I had. I'd love to use you guys. So now we were on the same side of the table with them, being a partner. And it was a great relationship. And I mean, you know, I remember I probably purchased, you know, probably 10,000 of these little sandwiches over the last couple of years. But yeah, going to all these CE classes and agents. I mean, I don't know how many you and I went to, but consistency, right? And just being authentic and going in there and just talking to them, and we would hear them tell us their problems and their frustration. We'd listen to them. We'd, you know, ask questions, and we learned. I never, you know, I don't think you or I, and I don't think anyone ever took it personal. I don't think we ever took it like as a slight on us. They were upset at the industry as a whole.
We didn't create the problem.
We were trying to find out, okay, what is the actual problem? And again, marketing and sales is all about solving people's problems. If I don't have a problem, there's nothing you can solve, so no transaction is going to happen. And so you always have to solve a problem. And I didn't know this at the time.
What did we used to call them back in Empire?
Challenges.
No.
What?
Pain points.
Pain points, yes. Pain points, thank you. Yes.
I still use those terms.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, if there is no pain point, you can't provide a solution. If I'd never want to sell a house and an agent is giving me and marketing me about selling a house and I live in an apartment and I could never afford a house, you're talking to the wrong person. It's the wrong challenge. I may have other challenges, but not that challenge. Right. So understanding who your target audience is and understanding, you know, one thing, I don't know if I've got time to
don't worry about it.
Okay. One of the things I explain to agents and other people is what you want to do. And I don't know if I ever did this with you, is to grade your clients. Have we ever talked about that?
No.
So if you grade your client.
Wait. Like we used to grade our property manager clients?
Yes.
A, B, and C?
Yeah, through D. So we go A through D. So a D client that you have, like if agents went back to the last couple years of clients that they've had and they put them all on the table and they grade them A through D. A is good, D is bad. Now, the way that you would slice that up and bifurcate that a little bit more, a D client is maybe they were, we'll just say cheap, or they took up a lot of your time, but they always complained. Every time the phone rang, you're like, here we go. and there's no end in sight. There's no resolution. When they're done, they're upset. They've got your blood pressure up. Everyone's unhappy. The D's take up the majority of your time without you realizing it. The C's, they're either they don't want to spend a lot of money, or they take up your time, or they complain. It's an or, it's not an and. So it's one of those things. The B clients, now those are the ones that actually pay the bills. You never hear from them. They're happy-go-lucky. They do the transaction. They thank you. They're a pleasure to talk to. Every time you get off or do a transaction with them, you're like, what a nice person. And you're done. The A's are raving fans. They're evangelical. So they refer people to you. So if you take your A and B clients, and this is for the realtors or anyone, if you take your A and B clients and you go, okay, what is the common thread with them? Meaning, what is the age bracket? What is the demographics of where they were? Maybe even what is the gender? Maybe it's more women versus men. I don't know. And start slicing up who they are. Most importantly, what is the income level or the price point of the property? You're going to find common threads with the A's and B's. Now, all of a sudden, you go, okay, now that we know that, what was the problem we solved for them? Because once you know, and if you don't know, you simply send them a survey or call them, hey, just curious, why did you use me? What was the reason? And they're going to tell you. Also, you go back to your D clients and you ask your D clients, just curious, why did you use me? Because whatever marketing message you gave and your D client answered, you want to stop that. Right. So that's a way to understand, oh, you were the cheapest. Okay, good to know. Right. You were the only one who answered your phone and showed up on Saturday. Good to know. Not saying that's the reason, but that could be. But with your A's and B's, whatever their problem was, and they're all going to be a common thing. I needed to move fast. I wanted someone responsible. I wanted someone who answered their phone. I wanted someone that was tech savvy. Whatever those are, that is now the marketing message that you send out to get more A's and B's. Because now your phone is going to be coming in with the clients that you want, the A's and B's, and not the D's. And then once you get that phone coming in consistently with the right people, then you start setting up the referral program. Birds of a feather flock together. You're the product of the 5 people. If I bought a house for $1 million, what are the odds that I probably hang around with other people that are buying houses for $1 million? Probably pretty good. Why not have a referral program or simply ask, who else do you know that I could help? You'd be amazed at how many people would give you that lead. So just it's a great strategy to figure out who your target is.
It's another way to build on top of your target market.
Absolutely, 100%.
I'm coughing up a storm right now.
You are, man.
I'm trying to get over the sick. So tell us real quick, what's in the future for Steve Rozenberg?
Whew, that's a tough one. Right now, really what I'm focusing on is just helping people. I'm doing a lot of coaching. I do a 2-day business summit every single month here in Houston. I bring in people from real estate, property managers, real estate agents, business owners of all kinds, and I show them in a 2-day span how to take their business and run it on autopilot. So this is something that I do every month. It works out very well. It's very successful. I keep it very small, 20 to 25 people, but it's been a fantastic result for people that are trying to grow and scale their business to make it run without them. So that's what I'm doing right now. I still speak. You'll see me on stages all over the country and stuff like that. But really, just a matter of helping people and going down that path of doing it is my main focus.
So if anybody watching the podcast would like some help from you, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so they can go to my website. It's my name, Steve Rozenberg. So it's Rozenberg. So steverozenberg.com. You can also find me on social media, Instagram, YouTube, anywhere. Send me a message on any of my social media channels. And it's all my name, Steve Rozenberg, or Instagram is Rozenberg Steve. Send me a message if you want to talk or chat. Tell me what's going on, what your challenges are, and I'll tell you the best way that if I can help you, or maybe I can direct you to someone who can. And to me, it's all about abundance and just helping as many people as I can.
Give me your phone number one more time.
Phone number 832-496-8578, 832-496-8578. Or you can just go to my website, steverozenberg.com, send me a message there, or any of my Instagram channels or Facebook or any of those other high-tech channels that exist out there. I'm on all of them.
Well, I want to thank you for being on my podcast.
Yeah.
For me, this is... I haven't been more nervous on my podcast since I did the first podcast because he's done everything I'm trying to do. So you guys need some help. He can definitely help you. Give him a call. He's helped my career immensely. He's also got a book
Yep. I wrote a book, Failing Our Way to Millions. Yeah.
So I'm in it, by the way.
Yep.
I'll sign a copy after he signs it.
There you go.
So thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can come back and be on again.
Sure.
And we'll continue this conversation.
Yeah.
So this is episode number 35 of Kevin's Corner, Real Estate from a Marketing Perspective. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, I couldn't do this without Jennifer Smidas, Caitlin Kornick, Devin, Wendy Santana, and Adriana Azalte. And again, if you want to be a guest on the podcast and you're an agent or a vendor that operates in the Fort Bend County area, give me a call, 832-654-0528. 0527, or email me at kevin.davidson@stewart.com. Appreciate you guys tuning in. This episode will be ready next week. Kevin's Corner, Real Estate from a Marketing Perspective on YouTube. Until the next episode, you guys have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See ya.